forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Hi, Mario. Hi, Syria. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me, what do we have today from our, kind of students?
Of course. So the feature question for today is how do you evaluate the candidate's profile for EB1A before admitting them into the next league program? That's the first question.
Wonderful. People do expect that their profile will be assessed the way they would go to a lawyer, and we will do some kind of a profile analysis that you are 60% there, 70% there. But please remember that these numbers don't mean anything because without of your evidence or something. Number two, I have always said that criteria don't mean criteria are only a means to showcase or look at the lens at your profile. So, for example, there might be a work done by you in 5 years back that could possibly count as an original contribution. Okay, that's how I would like to look at the entire, and that's what we have been seeing. We have seen people trying to fit themselves into 8 criteria, 7 criteria, 6 criteria. They all got approved, yet they got overall rejected because that's not the right way to do it. So, what happens is when somebody comes in, we kind of evaluate them based on 3 parameters. Number one is whether a person is of a professional standard. What are his professional standards? Is he of a profession? How is a LinkedIn profile? How is a resume? When somebody is coming to us, how would he talk to us? How he would present himself to us? Because this program is only for professionals. And to make it fair, it would be difficult for us at this particular moment to kind of, if somebody were to be, let's say, an artist, or somebody would be, let's say, an athlete. This program at this particular moment of time may not be applicable or may not be suited for that person. So we try to look at people only with the profiles, with a professional profile. Okay. Second, whether the person is able to commit 10 to 15 hours per week. This is very important because we see some kind of a dedication. Has there been some pattern of success in the person's career or life? We would see that actually. If a person has not tasted success, has been kind of a very mediocre in his own career and life, it would be very difficult for us to kind of look at that person's profile. And number 3, and most important, is that person coachable? We have definitely seen that intellectual prowess has never solely been the criteria for getting somebody EB1A. We have seen people from IIT, IIMs, from Ivy Leagues, and they had to, in fact, are working with the best of the companies with super titles like even vice president, directors, CEOs. So we have seen that is not always applicable, or that is not always good. And also we see that this program is not suitable for somebody who has just started off their careers. So we see some kind of an impact that has been created. There is some post that, and last time also I spoke about it, and this is going to be very important for people, for us to assess somebody. We do see a person, how much would have been his professional impact in his career. So to do that, what we do is that we would take up some kind of we will use some method just at the back of the envelope calculation. So let's say somebody has a 10-year experience and, and let's say he's earning 200K in the US today. So if we do a, kind of a present value of all his average of past salaries, it comes normally as one kind of 50K. It's always debatable, but we have done some calculations that would tell us that actually. And based on inflation, based on kind of rupee value, and it's a past dollar value or rupee value, whatever. If the person has been in different countries, we take a purchasing power parity and would do that actually. And at the end, we see that okay, the person has kind of worked for 10 years, so he has earned around 1.5 million. And also normally, let's understand in a business, in a corporate, there are various studies that establish that if a person paid X amount, he's definitely company is expecting a return of 20 to 25x. So one has already created an impact of $30 to $40 million, and that becomes a good indicator for us. I mean, placing them into specific criteria on day one is not advisable without even looking at the expertise. Because if we don't know your expertise is not a function of your job, your title, or your education qualification. It is a function of what your core are. I mean, there is a separate discussion we can have on that. But basically, these are the parameters we have seen served very well for us. The three parameters in terms of their quality, the coachability, the time commitment, and the professional standard, and what has been the impact. And normally, we have seen a person who has had an impact of till he comes to us at least $15 million, $15 to $20 million overall, has been a good candidate for the program. And there we have seen people who are 26-year-olds, people who are even 50-year-olds. They have been able to navigate through the entire process. In fact, some time back I did a post on this actually on essentially this how this 150K and everything comes up. We'll be putting that in the comments. And if somebody wants some more detail or something, one can always go through this actually. So you will see that here is the post that I have put up. So as a comment in the comment section, so you can just have a look at this also actually in the LinkedIn. So that will give you a fair idea. Okay. So wish you all the best, and let's move to the next question.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question they ask, I know in the next league you offer coaching to an aspirant through the process, but how do you personally prepare a candidate psychologically for the premium processing outcome?
Oh, there is no need. I mean, people are already from day one. We have always been suggesting that go for a premium processing. There is no separate preparation for this actually. I mean, yes, but I think the more challenging question is not prepare for premium processing, but how do you prepare psychologically? We use certain psychological tools. We have used methodologies, which I think some of our coaches and are trained in that actually. We have certified coaches in the program and who have been kind of helping and motivating and inspiring people actually. But as I said, we have a certain proprietary tool also to kind of ensure that people are kind of people have certain basic emotional resilience. We have a metric to evaluate that, and we have seen a certain set of people. And I think it's a very good question because this also brings us back to the previous question to some extent. Because one thing I forgot saying that we also measure. Assess emotional resilience of a person, and we have seen that notwithstanding a person's qualification or a salary, if the person's emotional resilience is weak, the person is not a good candidate for the program. So one has to be, because EB1A journey is not a one-day walk actually. It's a marathon. It's a long journey. It's like climbing up Mount Everest. You need to be very resilient for this actually, and we have seen that people who do this have been kind of very successful, and it's very enriching journey also. So you need that tenacity to perform continuously, time after time, day after day, hour after hour. So you should not get bored, tired, something. So emotional resilience has been playing a very major role, and we have seen that. And remember one thing, guys, I mean, if you are not inspired, we cannot motivate you, no matter whatever psychological tools, because you should be wanting something from inside. Somebody may give you a best tools and techniques, then Olympic coach may come to you and teach you how to win an Olympic gold and tell you everything prepared. But if you are not inspired from inside, no amount of motivation is going to help you. So I think we have answered this question. So let's move to the next.
Of course. So the next question is, how do you maintain credibility and ethical integrity while still building an aggressive case?
That's a beautiful question, because aggressiveness is a function of only the legal arguments. Let's understand that there are three levels of presentation. Number one is your facts and actual raw evidences which are there. Now that is fundamental. Now aggressiveness starts from the level 2 and 3, which I'm going to tell you. And I will illustrate this with an example also. Number 2 would be, first is, what are the scientific metrics and rationality and logic that you are using to prove a point? I will come to that, because without metrics, it doesn't come. And the third and most important is, what is the legal argument you are establishing something to do that? So I repeat what it is. So first is your facts and evidences. So let's say, for example, you are wanting to prove that you got, or let's say you're role was a critical in a company. So you actually need to get those documents in order which prove your criticality. Now, the most important thing is that what are the scientific metrics you are using to prove that is, oh, there was a ROI, there was something, there was a time, there was a profitability, there was you saved resources, you saved time, you got some money because of you directly did not were involved. So for example, there was one particular lady in a program who was working with a leading financial institution, and it was very kind of a critically, she had to she created some kind of a software to help kind of give a regulatory responses and respond to regulatory. Now the time that it saved was enormous, and this was not just one time affair. The reports had to go every month, so month after month, years after years. It was very timely response, and they always got a positive affirmation from the regulator that everything was going perfectly well. Now, just to make sure that operation is smooth, so what are the different metrics you do that? First, there was an evidence of doing that, so we had to get into creation of those metrics that would help. And then we create a legal argument that, okay, fine, what was the scope of authority and what were the skill set being used? So aggressiveness could have been on the point 2 and point 3 to prove those numeric metrics. But the most important thing is to build any case, the facts and evidence have to be truthful. If your facts and evidences are fabricated, manufactured, cooked up, that is not going to help. Just because somebody is, you actually have to produce emails, letters from, in this particular case at least, letters from the regulators which have been there. So that is going to strengthen your case. Aggressiveness is always a function of, argument. Please understand. It is never an argument of somebody, any false evidences. You can't build a castle on a, kind of a rough, very smooth land actually. The land, your foundation has to be very, very solid here. I will give you another illustration that there was one particular person working with a large financial, not financial, I think there's some other technology corporation. Now he did some work, and that the work was published in media about it. That they got some contracts and they got something, but obviously his name was not mentioned out there. So but he got a letter from the company, one of the C-suite officer, that he was responsible for executing the contract and even getting those contracts. And because of that, the company's reputation went up. Now, these were the facts and evidences. Okay, now there was and also the media that it came, it was solely because of him. But the media did not carry his name. Now, we had to create a legal argument saying that how these two are connected. And that could be perceived as a little aggressive in that sense. But the fact remains that he had done the job. So had he not done the job, had he not got the letters, this would not work. And then the media coverage, how do you prove that it is worthiness for EB1A in terms of quality? Okay, what were the total scope, where it was published, and all the things that we had to give. So this is the way, I like this question very much actually, that how, we help build an aggressive case. So that's wonderful. Okay, let's move to the next question.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question, they ask, what distinguishes a coached EB1A profile from a self-built one in the adjudication outcomes?
That's beautiful, actually. I don't think it is from an adjudication perspective. It is from your own perspective. I mean, the first thing is that importance of a coach when you see actually, because let's say if you want to succeed with a particular pace, with a discipline, and in a proper manner, everybody would have a coach. Some people would admit it, some people would not admit it. Number two, even the best of the best Olympic players, even if somebody has won 6 Olympic gold, 10 Olympic gold, 3 Olympic gold, they would also have a coach. Nobody would come up and say that, look, I am already an Olympian and gold medalist, so I can do everything of my own. So that's another thing. Now, third things, you call them a various names, you call them a friend, philosopher, guide, mentors, coaches, whatever, that's a separate thing. But having a guide, having a coach, having somebody to kind of check upon you is something going to be very, very important here, actually. It's not only from an adjudication perspective, it is also to sharpen your saw. Somebody who is constantly checking you, whether you're trying for EB1A or not, I think having a coach in your professional stream is always a good idea, actually. Somebody who can challenge you, somebody who is going to kind of throw you off the cliff, you don't need a coach to make yourself feel good. Let's understand. Then you can have anything. You can have a pet. You can have a, anything for that matter. Actually, you have a lot of friends who can kind of comfort you in that sense. A true coach is somebody who can throw you off the cliff, throw you off the water actually. So that's the first thing about having an importance of having a coach actually here in this particular case. Now comes from an adjudication perspective. I think it doesn't matter according to me. It is a matter of only time. Now, for example, if I have 56 achievers, I can say that 50% of them would have never believed that they could get EB1A. So that something is self-confidence. We have tools and techniques to keep them motivated. So that's number one. Number two is many of them, and they have admitted on record that, well, they might have got it, but it would have taken a longer time. Maybe somebody who got in 8 months, they would have got it in 3 years or 2 years, but this definitely accelerated their entire process. But in the whole process, whether you have your own resilience to maintain the ethos and maintain the momentum is something that you have to decide. From an adjudication perspective, since we are kind of trained, we are also a licensed ABS, so we integrate not only from a subject matter expertise perspective, but also from the perspective of the legal jurisprudence part of it. So what kind of letter of recommendations, what kind of metrics, what kind of framework that we are using actually. And that's the reason, if you notice, the success rate for us would be better than the previous any national average. So national average for, I think, is around 50 to 60%. Ours would be at least 80% minimum. So that's something, it kind of shows the impact of coaching in an overall scheme of things. And when I said subject matter expert, please remember, it is not about subject matter in your field of expertise. We don't teach you your expertise, but we tell you how to present your expertise. And that how USCIS is likely to consider that. So let's take a last question for the day, guys.
Of course. So the last question is, if you had to redesign an EB1A profile from scratch today, what would you do differently based on recent trends?
Actually, it is nothing. It is just, to be honest, I told you there are 3 dimensions. There is nothing from the scratch actually. As I told you that we don't take students who are kind of just started off their career. So there is nothing from the scratch. Somebody is already with, at least I mentioned to you that somebody should have a $15 million impact. Somebody should have at least a bare minimum. We take people with a 5 years criteria. And we always have been recently insisting that at least there should be some 150K of your total income. So because that translates into a decent $10 to $15 million impact that has been there. Of course, there are exceptions. We have seen we had a lady who was just earning around 60 to 70K, and we could help her out for EB1A. It took a longer time, but definitely we have been able to do that. So there is no magic wand for this today. It is just that you have to become more rigorous, more specific, and more regular, more particular. So that's the first thing. And you really need to, it is not about your EB1A profile actually. It's about your field, your expertise, what contributions have you made. EB1A is just a recognition of your excellence. I think that's the thing. You're focusing on EB1A. I mean, that's not fair for EB1A or not for you. And not fair for somebody who is guiding you in that sense, actually. So let's be very honest if you're this thing. And I repeat, guys, if you're looking to, as I mentioned, that this program is not, you should have a coach only when you want to feel challenged. If you're looking for, kind of comfort, if you're looking for just, kind of a peace, this is not the place. If you're looking for, something that can challenge you, something that could kind of somebody who can throw you off the cliff, then this would be the best place for you. And we are there to guide you. We are there to help you. Okay. So wish you all the best and thank you and congratulations once again. Okay. Bye. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions or need personalized guidance, please reach out to us. We are here to help you every step of the way in your journey towards achieving your American dream. Let's connect and make it happen together.